So this is Sniper's dressage test, and he did really well on this test again because of this view actually shows the horses that are walking behind the arena, and he did really good job to focus in the big Rolex arena. So he can tend to, when he gets a little tight or nervous, he holds the tension through his neck, and so oftentimes I will lose the bend in the shape through the rib cage. So I'm really working on trying to keep him straight through the withers in the neck and keep the rib cage wrapping around my inside leg. Then I ask for the canter. This horse really does have lovely gaits, and so I'm able to push him forward over his back, and probably one of his best gaits is his canter. So this is where I can gain a lot of points. And he's handling it again really well. I was very proud of how he was listening to me and trying really hard. So again, apologize for the view. It's a little far away, but you're able to see. Again, this gives you a different view of kind of what these horses are dealing with. And it's a little bit different for when we're in the 4-star. None of that stuff that you see behind Sniper over there is, there's no horses allowed to walk or anything like that. So here in the free walk, he's just a little distracted. I can't quite push him because I feel like I might get a little bit of the jig, but I am able to contain him a little bit. He does reach some, but that could be a lot better. He's given me better free walks before, but again, I was pretty happy with what he gave me. So here in the working walk, it's a little tight. He's just trying to be just a little distracted, push him up into the trot before I get that jig. And I'm trying to push him forward over his back so I can really get the swing through the shoulders and the hind end. He's really coming along through his movement. That was fairly decent. So now I'm going to prepare him with a little bit of shoulder 4 again. Sitting in through the canter, ask for the canter. He came up a little bit above the contact. Again, that's kind of a tough corner. Working on my canter circle. Again, you see people riding bikes, people walking over hills. It's a lot for the young horses to handle, especially in this big arena. So I was very pleased with his effort. I could have gotten a little bit more bend in that corner, but again, he can be a little tough, or he's kind of like riding a wet noodle. Things can kind of go every which way. But he was pretty good on this diagonal to the straight. Good transition to the walk, and then boom, nailed the halt. He was a very good boy. Scored a 71%, so it was a very good dressage score. And that's a little bit different compared to when we're at an event, as we're on a penalty score. So here it's the percentage for the dressage. And so again, really happy with Sniper. He did a really good job. So now moving on to cross country. And for the RRP, we have a choice in the cross country between which levels, beginner, novice, and novice. And so with my horses, I chose the novice, which is the black and the white background. And Sniper's been competing at the novice level pretty much all season. So pretty brave horse. He has a lovely jump and a lovely gallop. So I'm just working on keeping him straight. Sometimes he can get a little herd, barn bound. And you see, he's kind of just stepping over these. Normally he kind of pings right over them, but he really just was pretty nonchalant about the whole thing. I think fence number 3, he jumped pretty good. This is a fairly good sized novice fence. That's the jump that I'm used to feeling. And so he's a bit different than Sharpie, as I have the balance uphill, but he can be a little bit wigglier. So his shoulders can be going one way, the head's going the other, and the haunches are going the other. So I'm always working on kind of keeping him straight. And so for me, the thoroughbred horses really do well if you can keep your hands steady. Here I'm working on the turn to the ditch. Now we have the choice. You can do the beginner novice ditch. It is an option, but I wanted to do the novice ditch, and so I had to make sure I could get him straight to it. That was where a little bit of that baby horse kind of comes in. But once he saw it, he understood the question, no problem. So again, I'm going to go back, settle my hands on the neck. Really gets them to relax. And again, we have, coming to the water jump, we have the option. And you can go up the bank for some extra points, so I chose to do that. And handled it pretty well. And then after that, we went and jumped another house. And again, this is where we allow for the gallop up the hill, which this is my favorite part on him. He has such an incredible gallop. And then I'm able to just really just press with my fingers just a little bit, say whoa, and then I've got him right back where I want him to ping over the brush. And again, for the bank, we have an option of dropping down the bank or jumping a jump to the side, and I chose to drop down the bank, which unfortunately you couldn't see, but he pinged it perfectly. And now we head to the last fence, which he jumped lovely. And he was kind of like, we only have 12 jumps. I think he was ready for some more. So he put in a really good round. I was really happy with how he felt. He was a really good boy and put in a really good score. So directly after cross country, we headed to the show jump, which this horse is such a good jumper. So he's a little bit different than Sharpie, as I can trust him a little bit more with the jumps. As far as he wants to be careful. He's that nice mix of brave and careful, where Sharpie is just mainly brave. So he jumps the first jump lovely. And again, for the show jump levels at the RRP, you can choose. So you can choose to do beginner novice, novice, or training level. So Sniper has been competing at the novice level all season, so it's pretty much what he was used to. Now I come around to this combination fence. I had to balance him a little bit. This is kind of a tough combination there because it's heading straight towards the in gate. And then that vertical is a little low, so it's kind of designed to kind of suck the horses into getting a little longer and flat. And then he jumps lovely over this. You can see he has such a nice jump, such a lovely canter. This is very easy for him. Coming to this small vertical. And he did really well here. It kind of rode to a bad spot, and he kind of just dinged it, picked up his legs for me. We're not always able to ride perfect, so it is important to teach your horses to jump for the miss. So he jumped that well, and then jumps lovely over the oxer, coming around to the last vertical. Pings right over it, and he's such a class horse. He did really well and did really strong showings in all three phases, and so then we headed to the finale.